What's going on, everybody? Today we got a showcase for the upcoming Fusion champion, Packmaster Shyak. Now, if you've ever dreamed of a day of having Felhound in your Hydra team, well, this is Brutal Hydra, and your dreams can come true now. So Felhound has, I think, the best kit for the Hounds that pair with Packmaster, and you don't have to run a full squad of Hounds. He doesn't get extra benefits based on how many Hounds you're running. He only gets the effect increased or his kit improved if there's at least one Hound on the team. And to be honest, most of the Hounds they have included are quite garbage. Now, Felhound is a different story. Felhound is an actual legit champion who I've used for a long time in campaign farming. He was just chilling at 60 in my vault though for now. I don't farm that much campaign anymore, but I busted him out, threw him in Hydra. He's actually doing pretty good. Like I said, this is Brutal Hydra. It doesn't show any signs of slowing down. We're at 60 million damage and it can still cruise on. We have some relatively accessible champions, 2 fusions, a free champion, and then Inquisitor Shamel for the fears, but that could really be anybody. So let's go ahead and end this battle, see how much damage was dealt, and talk about, is Packmaster Shyak worth going for? Now, Felhound did 11 million damage, which for a rare champion, not too bad. Shyak did 6 million damage. That's because of his Hex being placed. Newt, of course, doing the biggest damage, and Inquisitor Shamel, not very surprising there. Now, Felhound actually did a pretty good amount of damage, but Felhound's bringing more than just damage. So I'm going to showcase Felhound first and show you guys why I'm using him, and then I want to talk about Packmaster and why they actually kind of work together. So Felhound's ability, his A1, is an AoE skill. This allows you to bring Provoke, Hex, things like that that place extra debuffs on the Hydra heads, but he also brings a decreased speed. Now, this decreased speed is a 15% decreased speed, but if you throw on Nature's Bounty, it's going to give you a chance of making that 15% decreased speed the greater version of decreased speed at a 30% chance. Now, you can see in the Hydra Run video that I've done, I recorded most of this stuff, that Felhound will place the small version of decreased speed pretty often, but he actually replaces it later on down the road. So if we do have the small version up, let me see if I can find you guys can't even see this yet. Let me see if I can find a clip of it real quick. So we'll fast forward this just a little bit. Let's see. Okay, where's a small version? There's a small version right there on that decapitated head. If Felhound comes around, let's fast forward to 30 seconds. You can see that hopefully a big version gets placed. Doesn't get placed, unfortunately. We're going to see if we can find a moment where it does happen. They got a small version over on the far left. Okay, nothing actually happened there. But I've seen it a few times actually get replaced. I was wondering if it would or not. That was on this head over here. Let's see. So small version right there. So no, that's a big version now, but it's a small version at first on the head of Suffering. Is that what it is? But it's a small version. He attacks, gets counterattacked, switches to a big version. So he replaces it with a big version. So that is really good to know that he will replace it with a big version, even if the small version's not off cooldown. I was kind of curious how that would actually work. Now, Felhound also brings an A2 ability that places continuous heal and reflect damage on everybody. So it gives your team somewhat of some support. And then an A3 ability, which honestly, I just wouldn't even use. But I do want to showcase something because, to be honest, this Packmaster champion is going to be a champion who could very well set a lot of players up as bait to actually build some of these Hounds. And a lot of them just are not worth building. But Felhound is a little bit of a different story. So real quickly, I want to go to stage 3. This is not a Felhound showcase, but I just want to show a dog champion that actually makes sense being used with Packmaster, because I don't want you guys going out there and building a Hound spawn that you get from the campaign because he pairs well with Packmaster. Don't do that. Packmaster's skills are not that good when the Hound is on the team to bring a champion who's useless. But Felhound is actually not useless. He's the fastest campaign farmer in the game if you run him with female champions. Not so fast with male champions for whatever reason. A little bit sexist if you ask me, but either way. Now, with this team, got 6-second run. It's okay. We took 2 hits at the end there. Not a big deal. Majority of the time, he is 5-second farming. Very nice, very fast. Now, he does have the blessing, which is very important. Getting the blessing allows Nature's Bounty, which allows a chance at placing that higher version of decreased speed. Plus, you already saw it, I actually have him in a Provoke set. So now he's getting a chance of placing Provoke. It's an AoE attack, so it's always going to hit the Head of Decay. Plus, he's Void Affinity, so we have no weak hits except for if Poison Cloud's placed. But with Packmaster on the team, Poison Cloud is never available because his cooldown on his A2 ability, I'll show you guys that in just a moment, is incredible. Like, he keeps it up the A3, he keeps it up majority of the time. Felhound, we have War Master. That's where a lot of his damage is coming from. As far as his actual build, Felhound is a unique champion who actually scales off of attack and defense. So his A1 scales off of both. You can build him with defense for more sustainability, or for attack, it's going to do the same thing. Honestly, it's just worth building him for more defense. Now, with that said, let's go check out Packmaster, because this is not a Felhound showcase. So when looking at Packmaster, his A1 ability has a chance of placing decreased defense for 2 turns. It's a single target skill, so it's not really the most reliable decreased defense. I would definitely recommend bringing another decreased defense champion. Really, kind of just ignore this effect. Then it teams up with an ally, Terror Beast, Gore Mask, Houndspawn, Hellfang, Felhound, or Stitch Beasts. I'm going to go over these champions, but the good thing is you don't have to have a lot of these. It just teams up with one, and in order for it to be activated on any of these skills, you just need one. I wouldn't recommend building any of these other champions. We'll talk about them, we'll look at them, but there's only one Hound that I wish they would have had here that could have actually worked in PvP. They just don't have it here. So he joins in with an ally, which works out great because Felhound, that A1, more AoE attacks, more chances to provoke, more chances. I wouldn't do Hex, honestly. I'll show you guys why in just a moment, but then more chances that decrease speed. Then his A2 removes all debuffs from his champion, a little bit selfish, heals him by 50% of their max HP, does keep him alive, which is great, then places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns. The shield is equal to any surplus heal, so a pretty decent sized shield. The shield buff cannot be removed, stolen, or transferred if at least one of the Hounds are on the team. Finally, places taunt and reflect damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. These buffs cannot be removed, stolen, or transferred if a Hound is on the team. Now this is really cool because taunt, reflect damage, and the shield will all be protected, meaning that none of them can be stolen. This is especially useful for the taunt because taunt, if it's not stolen, it'll make your champion being marked with the mark of the Hydra not be eaten. So we see here, so on 0 turn cooldown, we have taunt up. And the reason why I have him in reflex gear is because it has a chance of lowering the cooldowns, keeping that taunt up even longer. You can see that Shamael was at 0 turns at 4 minutes and 43 seconds with, 25 turns taken? And we don't get eaten until, let's see, we get eaten at 32 turns with 6 minutes. So while it's not a consistent taunt up, it does delay the champion being eaten for a good amount of time, to be honest. So the A2 ability is very good with allowing him to be mischief tank, plus delaying a champion from being eaten by the mark of the Hydra, assuming you have another Hound on the team. But his A3 is really where I think it makes sense for even if you're not using a Hound champion, which is fills this turn meter of all allies by 25%. Also, an 80% chance, booked up to a 100% chance of placing block buffs debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This is extremely important in Hydra. There's no hit on it, so it's not going to be a weak hit, and it can place through Poison Cloud as well, preventing the increased attack on the Head of Wrath and all that kind of stuff. This debuff cannot be resisted if at least one of the Hounds are on the team. It's really cool because now you don't have to worry about the 3% resist chance. You just place it, you're good to go. Don't have to worry about building accuracy, except for the fact that his A1 requires accuracy, and so does his passive ability. So you actually can't get away with not building accuracy, but you can know and you can rest assured that the block buff skill will consistently be placed on enemies all the time. It's a 3-turn cooldown, turn meter boost of allies. It's a very solid A3. If a Hound is on the team, can't be resist. And then we have his passive skill, which is solid, but in a way it kind of messes with other potential champions because it says, when attacked, places a Hex debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. Ally attacks on targets under Hex debuff placed by this champion deal 20% more damage. So you want this champion placing the Hex, but he doesn't have any AoE skills, so we can't use a curse set. We don't want to bring another Hex champion necessarily because his Hexes deal an additional 20% more damage. And he also allows the Hounds that are on the team to counterattack whenever he's attacked by an ally under Hex, right? When this champion is attacked, actually no, just when he's attacked, so never mind, there's no Hex requirements there. So it's just when he's attacked, Felhound is going to counterattack for him. So this is great, but it does kind of limit it. Okay, maybe we shouldn't bring Mithrala, maybe we shouldn't bring Michinaki. You still could. You're just losing out on 20% damage from those champions when they place that Hex. Granted, that could be worth it because you'll have higher uptime ultimately on the Hex. So that's completely up to you and what you decide to do. Now, when we look at his kit, it's solid. It's nothing crazy. His base stats, we have pretty low speed, we have good HP, solid defense, everything's okay. The build that I have for him for Hydra specifically, I pushed speed pretty high, I have good survivability, good accuracy, at least to place our debuffs, and then we have solid resistance. Honestly, the debuffs that are being placed, I really don't care as much about those as I do block buffs. Block buffs is the most important, and that's the one that can't be resisted. I have reflex gear to get him a little bit lower cooldowns, hopefully, on this A2 as well as the A3, keeping a better uptime, especially on this stuff, because the taunt, shield, and reflect damage being protected, super sweet to have. Now, you can see that, let's see, so everything there, you already saw that. The masters I have, we have extra accuracy, though to be honest, getting something like War Master may be better, but if you have a hard time building for accuracy, like apparently I did, then just go ahead and throw some accuracy on there. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other Hound champions. So in Undead Horde, we have Stitched Beast down here. The A1 is going to be the main thing we're looking at, and Stitched Beast's A1, not great. His A2, I mean, we don't really care about these skills. And honestly, I don't recommend anybody building one of these champions just to pair with the Houndmaster. I mean, having this for Spider isn't bad, but you're potentially wasting 5-star champions to get this champion to 6-star or whenever he can be used. So this one, not horrible. The turn meter decrease for Spider, normal, not that bad. But then we have, let's see, none of these champions down there. Unfortunately, this champion's not used. This champion would actually be pretty solid in the arena. It attacks one enemy, ignores shield and block damage buffs, and also ignores defense if it's critical. But he's not part of Packmaster's pack, apparently. He's not a good enough Hound. Let's move over now to the other dog, which is Hound Spawn, which A1 chains of placing stun. I wouldn't even recommend using that. A single target, decreased defense, not great. AoE, not bad. Ignores defense and block damage buffs if the target has freeze debuff. So maybe you could get a situation where you pair Hound Spawn with Felhound, who has an AoE freeze. Could you do that? Yeah. Is that an early game play? I don't think so. I mean, you had to build 2 rare champions to pair with 1 legendary champion who, at the end of the day, it's not going to be crazy what they're actually going to do. Now, this is going to book up to a pretty high chance. What is it? 65, 75, 80, 80% chance of placing freeze AoE. Is that bad? Not at all. And we have Hound Spawn doing an AoE attack, ignoring defense. I don't know how much damage this actually hits for. Let's actually see. Because that may be another potential option, but it's really only like a luxury option if you want to say that, because essentially you're wasting so many pieces of food, so much experience brews, so much mastery stuff to build these champions for a 2.5 attack. Not horrible. It says it's a godlike breakdown, ignoring defense and block buffs, ignoring so much stuff. If they have freeze, isn't bad. If the Felhound could place this and wouldn't be resisted, it'd be awesome. But that's really the only other combo I could see. It's a 4-turn cooldown. Maybe that could work. I don't have these champions built up. Maybe I should have built them up for this video. But to be honest, I don't think it's really something the majority of players should even be doing. It's something that could be cool, but the use cases for it are fairly few and far between. And then we have the champions like Terror Beast, which is a single target, chance of increasing the cooldown of the target skill by 1 turn. It's not great. The attacks 2 times at random, not great. I mean, just stuff on his kit's not great either. Now, when we look at Packmaster, let's go back here and check out what other hounds he's helping out real quick. So we have Terror Beast, Gore Mask. Gore Mask, I forget where he's even at. Hound Spawn, Felhound, Felhound, Stitched Beast. So Gore Mask, let's see. I forget about him, but that's probably for a good reason. Gore Mask right here. Let's see what he does. Okay, this guy, he's also an orc. So Gore Mask's A1 is a single target, attacks one enemy 2 times. His A2, single target. A3, also single target. So these dogs are all bringing single target stuff, except for Hound Spawn and Felhound. Those are the 2 that could possibly work well, but I don't recommend majority of players building them. Now, the other thing to potentially be worried about or potentially consider is the fact that in the future, Packmaster may have a new Hound champion come out who gets benefits with Packmaster. They're not adding any benefits with common dogs, unfortunately, because we have some pretty solid common dogs. But if we get a future like mythical dog champion or a legendary dog champion, which we don't have any of those, then it may be a very solid synergy with this champion. But with a future potential FOMO in mind, the current benefits, I believe, are decent for him. Like, he has solid kit for Hydra. The block buffs is a super important debuff to have. Ability to place Hex on the enemies when he's attacked, very solid as well. Doesn't need anything on the team. So if you're not running another champion, you're essentially looking at a Mischief tank who places block buffs and places Hex when he's attacked. So pretty decent kit there. And if you have Felhound, actually can have some pretty solid uses in Hydra, specifically if Felhound has Nature's Bounty Blessing. I think this is going to be actually a solid potential option. I ran it on Nightmare. It did decent. I didn't run the entire key because I was like, well, Brutal's probably a decent showcase as it is, so we'll just showcase it on Brutal. Are you going to get your new personal best key? No. But is it going to work decent for you? Yeah, sure. Let's see if I've been hit in the arena. No, I'm not been hit in the arena. Oh, I have by 3 Felhounds. Very nice. But the thing is like, I'm very low. Why am I so low? I don't know what's going on. Okay, I can't fight anybody in the arena. But to be honest, this champion's I believe for the arena, a very gimmicky champion. Did I win or did I lose this? Okay, so I won. Oh, no, I lost that. How did I lose that? The heck? Okay, so his Felhounds were jacked. They were crazy strong. Are my champions even built? Let me check this real quick because that's actually pretty solid. Okay, they are kind of built, but 3 Felhounds hitting. Let me see if I can just go to campaign real quick. I mean, Felhound doesn't hit that hard. You have to build him up a lot. You have to build him a lot to actually do some good damage. If I use Packmaster to try this out real quick, let's see. So Packmaster plus Felhound, because he's not like boosting the damage of any of these champions, but I believe Felhound's going to be the champion. If anybody's a champion, Felhound's going to be the champion that you're going to use to actually do this stuff. Like if you're going to have a champion pushing content, doing anything with Packmaster, it's going to be Felhound, because any other champion you use, you're just going to be wasting slots and using up too much stuff, or it could go to a champion with far more benefits. Like I said, Houndspawn and Hellfang have a potential use case there, but in all honesty, I just don't see that being used that often, except if you're just wanting to have some fun. If you want to try something new, go for it. That could be your new strategy. But to be honest, I just don't see it being super useful. Like this ability, let's see what Felhound hits for. Hits for 14,000, so it's not bad damage. But in order to get some serious damage, some relatively serious damage, you're going to have to put Felhound in Savage gear, Lethal gear, some hard-hitting gear. And honestly, I just see him being much more viable and versatile if you have Nature's Bounty Blessing, boosting the effects of the decreased speed, and then running off of that. So that's just my opinions, guys. Packmaster, not a bad champion. I think his main areas are going to be Hydra. We could possibly use him in the arena for the block buffs and the turn meter increase, but his base speed's not that great. A champion like Apothecary already has a base speed better at 3-star. So if you're using a turn meter boost champion, Apothecary is just better. I mean, he has a turn meter boost by 15%, a little bit lower, but also an increased speed. Now you could boost Apothecary into Packmaster. You're losing a potential increased attack though, so something to consider there. And he doesn't bring, the block buffs is nice, but there's no strip. So if he's not running with another strip champion, well, Stone Skin, immunity, not gonna be able to go through that unfortunately. So as far as a champion worth going for, ultimately at the end of the day, my opinions on going for this champion is I'm gonna go for him because the potential of future champions coming out that pair well with him and me missing Packmaster is too much FOMO for me to skip out on him, honestly. But he does have some use with Felhound. Now, I'm not going to use him with Felhound because I have no use of using Felhound and Hydra. But if you're a player out there who's struggling finding a decreased speed champion in your account, but you have a Felhound, he's a rare champion, well, maybe it could work out well for you. It's also an AoE rare champion. If you happen to have a blessing for Felhound, well, now all of a sudden it's an AoE A1 rare champion with a greater version of decreased speed plus some heals, which they're not great heals. Unfortunately, the Nature's Bounty Blessing doesn't grow the buffs value, right? So debuffs only, not the buffs, because the continuous heal will be nice at the bigger version, but it's not the end of the world. You can bring a different healer, different support champion, but hey, I think it's a pretty solid setup between Felhound and Packmaster. So you guys let me know what you think. Are you going for this fusion? Do you have any other interesting, cool ideas for this fusion? Honestly, I think that it's an easy champion for new players to get baited into. Actually, I think the community announcement at the beginning was basically Packmaster can help early game players with pairing the dogs with a champion to get through different content. And yeah, while it could help players, it's not the best idea. I really think it's a bad idea, honestly, because in the early parts of the game, you are so limited by how many 5-star champions you can make. Wasting 5 stars on Houndspawn or Hellfang just for some gimmick tactics really is just not a smart idea. Now, if that's what you want to do because you want to have fun, go for it. Go for it completely. Do it. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. But to be honest, it's not going to help you progress your account. I mean, you're using 3 champion spots, basically, when honestly, Houndspawn and Hellfang can do their thing by themselves together anyways. They don't need Packmaster there. And Packmaster's not bringing so much stuff for dungeon contents that you really need him there necessarily. Turn meter boost and block buffs is nice, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily bring him. And their A1 abilities aren't incredible. Packmaster really does well when champions have solid A1s. As far as I'm aware, Felhound is like the best A1 dog, and then we have the other good A1 dog, which is the dude down here, Deathhound. But he's not included in the pack. So whatever it may be, guys, best of luck if you go for the fusion. Like I said, let me know what you're doing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.